We're live!
We're live! Oh my God!
Hello! Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Keen After Hours. For those of you who may not know us, I can't even believe that would be the case, but just in case, we are Keen Company. We are an off-Broadway theater company, now celebrating our 21st season. And we are going live every Monday night. I'm going to let Ashley tell you a little bit more about that. But I'm Jonathan Silverstein. I'm the artistic director, and I'm so pleased you've joined us.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm managing producer over at Keen Company. This is Billy, master of all things social media. So Keen After Hours is our version of like a late night talk show or Actor Studio with James Lipton, or really what it is our version of people stopping by our office and chatting, which used to happen all the time. We are on a floor with a bunch of theater companies. We consider ourselves the RAs of that floor, maybe the event coordinators. We definitely are the party room. Our door is always open. So what we missed in the virtual world is having people stop by and hanging out and learning about them and chatting. So we're decided to bring that spirit to you every Monday night at 6:30.
And so far, we've had these amazing chats with first George Salazar, who is in our production of Tick, Tick, Boom. Boy, now it's 4 years ago. Someone, Nick Blameyer just posted about that we were in tech 4 years ago this weekend. And then last week, we had the amazing Brenda Presley, who was in our production of Shirley Goodness and Mercy 2 seasons ago, but is just like, she knows everything and everybody.
If you want to watch either of those interviews or learn about the guests coming up, you can go to our website, keencompany.org, and all the information's there.
Speaking of, next week is a very exciting Keen After Hours.
Tell us all about it, Johnny.
Well, thank you, Ashley. We are going to be having a virtual launch party for our 21st season. And our season this year is inspired by old-time radio drama. We have commissioned 5 writers to write brand new world premiere pieces of audio theater. And next week, we are going to be welcoming all of those playwrights right here to sit down and chat with us, including Pearl Clegg, who wrote last year's Blues for an Alabama Sky, Kenny Finkel, James Anthony Tyler, Kate Cortese, and Kit Yan and Melissa Lee, who just had last night a virtual presentation of Canceled, which was their Keen Teens play. And y'all, it was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it.
That's exciting. I'm excited to sit down and chat with all of them.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, that's next week. What is happening tonight?
Yeah, Billy, what's happening tonight?
I am so excited about tonight. This guest is obviously a big friend of Keen Company's. She is on our advisory council. She was also in our critically acclaimed production of John and Jen from a few years ago. She is a Tony nominee. And before we bring her on, we're just going to play a quick little video of her from that production of John and Jen. Let's take a look, guys.
He looks just like you. Tomorrow he's going to camp, and I can't deal with it. I've barely ever let him out of my sight. I know that it's just the start, now that he's growing up, leaving home, taking flight. And all that I know is I won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know, I have goosebumps. Please welcome two-time Tony nominee, Kate Baldwin.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
I didn't know I was going to be ambushed with myself.
It already got me crying. My God.
Johnny, let's be honest. That's not hard. It's not difficult to make you cry.
It's true.
That
I'm
is true.
able to do it. Very pleased to be able to be one of the people who can.
Mhm.
But
Not just anyone can make me cry. I am an easy crier, but that doesn't mean that like nothing will make me cry. Like it has to be something.
It's true.
So let me take a moment to introduce Kate to everyone in my own kind of Jonathan Silverstein way. I do this at the beginning of every rehearsal where I introduce the room full of people and talk about their relationship to Keen and how we know them. So let me take a moment and introduce you all to the amazing Kate Baldwin. So, okay. I've obviously seen Kate Baldwin on stage a gazillion times. I think the first time was Finian's Rainbow. Yes, I did cry. And when we decided to do John and Jen, I sat down with Andrew Lippa and we started talking about, well, who could be Jen? And the first person who came up was Kate Baldwin. And immediately I was like, oh my God, if we could get Kate Baldwin, I would plot. I would plot if we could get Kate Baldwin. So Andrew was like, well, let me just give her a call and see if she's interested. And so he did, and there seemed to be some interest. And so I had coffee with Kate in Park Slope. I will never forget it. The place no longer exists. Oh. I sat down and I was like, I'm here with Kate Baldwin. I was so nervous. And of course we started chatting and had a lovely little chat. And I kind of knew this, but not really. Of course, Kate already had a relationship to Keen Company. She went to college with Blake Lawrence, who's now Blake Bradford, who used to be Keen's associate artistic director. She started our Keen Teens program. And so Kate knew about Keen. We had an amazing conversation. And then we just made it happen. And fun fact, Kate was very busy. She had all these different concerts. And in order for Kate to do the show, we had to sort of like move our production, like take a week off and move our production. And I was like, of course I'll do that for Kate. I'll do anything for Kate. And then we got into rehearsal. It was Kate and Connor Ryan, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But y'all, I got to tell you, I think just sitting in the Bruce Mitchell room, which is a rehearsal space at Art New York, and Kate Baldwin was singing her face off in my direction every day. And I remember, I think it was just the first day, I was like, I have to pinch myself. I am here directing one of the most amazing singers there is. And she's singing unmiked right in front of me. And ladies and gentlemen, and everyone, she's not only an amazing singer, she's an amazing, wonderful person that we're so happy to have with us in the Keen family. So welcome, Kate Baldwin.
Johnny, thank you. We had that meeting in Park Slope, and I think I'd already accepted, and we were just sort of like getting to know each other. And I think you cried at that meeting too.
I did.
I think you did. And I was so grateful to you guys for changing your production schedule and for moving everything around, just so that I could, go off and sing. And you guys did it. Connor did it. Like everybody just decided that was something you could do. And that was, if I ever like Kate, if you think back on like a diva, have you ever had like a diva moment in your career of like, that's pretty diva to be like, no, not that week. We can come back a week after. Did we also, is it my imagination, or did we also like extend or something? Like there was an actual, maybe it's just my imagination, that we sort of went a little bit longer. I don't know. I mean, what was great about that production too is that we got a recording out of it. That was completely unexpected. From my perspective. I never dreamed that we would be, recording what we did, but then we did. It was great. I think the recording ended up being terrific.
It's
Such a
so
great
beautiful.
album.
It makes me cry every time, like I did watching the show. You have to. I wish we could bring in Kara, our stage manager, who was in the booth, and I would watch from the booth, and I would just go up there every night for like the final song and just weep.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really meaningful show. And like you explain it to people and you explain that in the first, I mean, as you know, Connor and I are still very close and I still call him my brother's son. What? Because in the first act we play siblings and in the second act we play mother and son. And Jen, the character that I played, had the crazy bad idea to name her son after her brother, keeping, you know, the John going. You know, that doing a 2-person show, hopefully you like the person you have to be there with. And then it's inevitable. You do create a bond. And it was kind of incredible when you found him and you cast him, Johnny. It was such a smart move because he was this, you know, sort of brand new kid out of college and raised by a single mom with an older sister, and sort of had all these parallels to the character. That, and then he could sing like a dream and was nice and tall, and we sort of looked like we were in the same gene pool. And you know, and he's one of my nearest and dearest now. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Like, what a remarkable pair y'all were. I will never forget Connor Ryan meeting you at the photo shoot.
He asked me if he could call me Miss Baldwin. I said, oh my God. Like, wait, when did you graduate from school? And he was like, May. I was like, oh God, it's getting worse. Stop talking.
Now, credit where credit is due, because if he's watching, I'm going to catch a lot of flack. So we were casting John and Jen, and Jack Cummings, who runs Transport Group, said, oh my God, there's this guy, Connor Ryan. You need to go see him in Fortress of Solitude, which I did. And he had this small role. I think he was in the ensemble, but he had this whole thing with a boombox that was so freaking hilarious, and he committed to it 150%. And then he came in and auditioned for us and just blew everyone away. You guys were beautiful together.
And he knew the show backwards and forwards. Like he arrived that first day completely, you know, like a good little student off book, whereas I didn't know anything. I stayed away. I'd listened to it and read it, but I'd stayed away from the previous performances of it because I wanted to, you know, make my own. So I just remember that he was so gung-ho and so excited about it and had really, really, you know, secreted it that it was going to happen for him and had, you know, committed in that way too. So it was great. It was also cold. It was like one of the coldest.
Oh, yeah.
I think we canceled at least one performance because of snow. It was that crazy freak winter.
It was. And do you remember the performance where I got locked out of my apartment and I came like an hour late to the show?
Do you remember that?
And I walked in the back to like get into the backstage, and and people were turning around, and I saw the producers of Big Fish, and I was like, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late." Oh my God. I literally went to go take out the trash and the door shut behind me and I didn't have my keys. And my upstairs, I knocked on my upstairs neighbor.
It's such a visceral feeling. I feel like we've all been there.
And I had left a kettle on the stove to make tea, to make tea to go. So I knew that the stove element was on. So it was crazy. And so I had to go upstairs to people that I barely knew. They were so nice to me. It was like a Sunday morning. They were like reading the Times and having eggs. And I'm like, I'm going to get to a matinee. And can I use your phone? And can I call a locksmith? And all those things. It was rough. And I called you and Johnny, and you're like, okay, see ya when you get there.
No big deal. We'll wait.
I'm sure, you know, you hung up the phone.
Yeah, Key Company's tagline is "We'll wait for Kate Baldwin."
However, I think that gave me the opportunity to give it like maybe 2 or 3 curtain speeches that night.
Agreed.
To kind of like say to people like, she's gonna be here soon, everyone.
Jonathan,
you were about to go on for her too, actually, right?
I have a wig. I have a wig you could use. It could be the emergency wig. We'll just keep it in the Keen office.
Perfect.
And it could be like the emergency, if I need to go on for you wig.
I love this.
Okay. I couldn't have sang it, but I could have acted it.
Absolutely. What about all the costume changes? Because there was a lot of underdressing.
A lot of costume changes.
3 layers on it each time.
That may have been a little difficult, but where there's a will, there's a way.
There were rolled up jeans underneath a skirt at one point.
I remember a lot of like headband choreography as well.
There was so much hairography. And guess what? There was not backstage, no mirrors. So there was a lot of like, hairs up, go. And that was it.
Now, here's a fun fact about John and Jen. It was unmiked. So we were in what used to be the Clermont Theater, which is now Theater 5 at Theater Row. And there were no mics. And it was you, Connor, the amazing Lily Ling. Lily. Oh, my gosh. And Melanie, our cellist.
Cello. Yeah. So it was just piano and cello and no mics.
It was so beautiful.
The basement.
I know you probably hated me for it, but I loved it.
Well, I did, I just did discover that I could change the way I approached some of the singing, because again, with like a 2-person show, it's a lot of singing. And when you don't have any assistance, you need to sort of not wear yourself out the way you could if you had help. I did go to my voice doctor like late in the run, and she showed me what my vocal cords looked like, and I was a little bit on the edge.
Oh
no.
Wonderful. And she treats all of Broadway. Like you go into her waiting room and there's Linda Lavin and Betsy Wolfe and like it's everybody. And so she did say to me at one point, she's like, every Friday at noon, we have a voice teacher come in and teach people how to sing properly. So you might want to come in and take one of those classes. And I was like,
shade. Oh my God.
Meanwhile, literally invented a hashtag that was #WhyIsn'tShe and everything. And it was just a picture of your face. That's what we got.
Oh, well, that's nice. And there's my voice doctor saying, maybe you should take some classes.
Oh, man. Let me give you Jonathan Silverstein's phone number. Blame him.
Yep.
It's okay. She's still my voice actor. She comes to see everything. She's amazing and she's awesome. But she's trying to offer help.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I have a semi-related question from a viewer, actually, Johnny, about John and Jen, if you wouldn't mind. Let's go to that. This is, what advice do you have for letting go of insecurities while performing? P.S. John and Jen is one of my all-time favorite cast recordings.
We took a little sliver of credit for the cast recording, even though it's really all them.
No, it's such a good recording. It all turned out so well. I loved making that album. That was so much fun. I remember Andrew conducting, and like he was thrilled to have that opportunity. What advice do I have for letting go of insecurities while performing? Gosh, I guess it just goes back to the whole idea of you're just doing a play. It's just a play, and play is a good word to use to describe what you're inventing. You're just making it up. And there are no wrong answers. So go for it. It's hard. You can't not act something. If I have students who are like, well, I don't want to be too bossy or I don't want to be too crazy. I was like, well, then pick the positive. Choose what are you doing instead of what are you not doing. Sometimes we get in our own way and we think that things have to be perfect or we've watched somebody that we deem, flawless, Bernadette Peters, and we see them and we're like, well, how will I ever be like that? And the truth is you can't be like that person. You have to use what you've got. And imperfection is more interesting than perfection, I think. So I'd say use those insecurities, play an insecure character.
Perfect.
And I think most people on stage are, what's interesting about, what's dramatic about watching somebody on stage is watching them work it out, watching these flawed people try and keep it all together. You know, the person who has it all together is probably deadly boring.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. I think we all get insecure with what we do, whether it's acting, directing. It happens. You just have to, you know, as best we can, we try to work through it.
Yeah, and realize that it's messy is fine. It's good to be messy, and it makes you human. I think we're so much more interested in seeing human beings, and especially when you're on stage. I oftentimes, you know, say to my students, let your voice crack. Just try it. You know, let you know, fall on your face. It's better to have tried and to have gone for it rather than to stay in your tight little box and never ever venture out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So can you sort of on this subject, can you talk to us a little bit about maybe how you got started or one of your early theatrical experiences that you loved?
It's so funny because we were just talking about it the other night. So I grew up outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in a suburb called Shorewood. It was a square mile, very small place. But we had this incredible drama department. We lost every football game, but we produced 5 shows a year.
5 shows a year. Wow.
Yeah, there was a fall play. There was a variety show that was a fundraiser for AFS. Did you guys have AFS at your high schools?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. We had a kids show, and we had a spring musical, and then we had a spring play. So we would do 5 shows a year. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was always going. And in my senior year, my teacher, who was an incredible lady who taught there for 47 years.
Oh, wow.
And just passed away in 2017. Mm-hmm. She decided that we were going to be the first high school in Wisconsin, definitely, to do a Vita. And that I should play Ava Peron.
Amazing.
At the 10th grade of 17. Totally appropriate for a high school student.
Yeah.
Like, especially good night and thank you, whoever. Like,
yeah.
It's basically what I'm calling for. And I was like, great, I get to come on in a different bathrobe each time. This is amazing. It was just like completely over my head. I had no idea what was happening. Got great wigs, got great dresses. And I, at the time, was thinking that I would pursue a career in opera.
Okay.
So everything is head voice.
Mm.
So it's like,
oh my God.
It's like that. But I knew that that wasn't the correct voice to be using. But there are moments where I sort of like just toss it out there.
You know, she was a controversial figure.
Yeah, it's very like, I've been listening to Patti LuPone. I can't do it. Can't do Patti LuPone. But I'm like, I tried really hard to just like toss it off. And then I'm like, it's just this very strange. And then I'm 17.
I love this juxtaposition.
And I had this.
Is there a video of this production?
Yeah. Well, I can send you Rainbow High.
Well, we're going to cut to it
now. I always tell the story too about wigs because, you know, in high school we had these wigs that were all hard front wigs, you know, like the wigs you get in a professional production. I'll have a lace front, which is really nice for your hairline. It just like, you know, it looks really real and natural. But these hard front wigs were basically like, you know, the wig started and then your head started and then your face. So these ones, so, you know, Ava Peron had a pulled back bun like that. It was a very sleek, like, of course I'm talking about hair.
Right.
On brand.
So I had this like pulled back bun look with a hard front wig. And it was just like, it was so obvious. And I was so like, obsessed with being perfect at the time, that I thought this won't do. So I went to the makeup room and I got a blonde beard that one of the boys would wear. But instead of putting it on your face as like a beard, I glued it into my hairline and I combed the beard back into.
Oh, wow. Not messing around.
Plus for ingenuity, though.
It looked so good. It looked like a real hairline.
Wow.
But the problem is to use that, beard, spirit gum, if you know what spirit gum is, it's like, wallpaper paste. It affixes to your skin. And I am very fair and very sensitive. And so to get that stuff off, you have to use like turpentine. So I remember sitting in political science class like the next day after the opening of the musical, and like the entire perimeter of my face looked like I was a burn victim. Like I was red and peeling and horrible. And my political science teacher being like, "Are you in the musical?" You could tell. Are you Evita? Yes, Mrs. Ivanovich, I'm Evita. Oh my God! But I was suffering my art, and that was just fine. I was gonna suffer for it. I was gonna do it and like just and make sure that that it was done right.
Yeah, you had a real eye for realism really early.
Oh my God. I mean, Ava Perón was not a burn victim, but outside of that.
Yeah.
What the guy do who lost his beard wig?
No, nobody was using a blonde. It was a leftover. I didn't like Johnny. I didn't like go and rip it off some freshman.
Now that's your diva moment. Stealing a beard off of a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, we were big into like, people wore like mutton chops. People had like spray their hair different colors. Like we were way into like the transformative aspect of it all. Yeah.
What was the audience reaction to your Evita? Was it a big hit?
Yes, everybody loved it.
Of course.
I mean,
I
nowadays
think Keen Company should revive it.
It's not an appropriate show for a high school to do, obviously, and also not appropriate for this, lady from the British Isles to attempt that role. But it was fun while it lasted, and it makes for a good story now. I'll say
I love that.
Yeah, that was a formative experience. Yes.
So did you then study opera in school, or did you switch to a more musical theater track? Yeah.
No, I switched to straight acting. I switched to straight theater. It dawned on me that everybody who was in the opera program was super serious, and they were all, wearing scarves and talking about when they were going to play Tosca.
Well, one person had put a beard on their head for a wig.
Yeah. The level of commitment wasn't there.
Yeah.
But they were all talking about, their future careers playing, doing La Boheme. And I was like, but I kind of want to do stuff right now. I'm 18 and so I went over to the School of Communications at Northwestern University. And at the time, you couldn't major in musical theater. You could major in theater or voice or music. So I majored in theater, had a fabulous acting teacher there, and did musicals and did plays. And while I was at school, I did 15 shows in 4 years because I was
Whoa!
I was insane.
Wow.
And
but that's only 3 high school years. If you were already doing 5 shows a year in high school, you were like ready.
Yes, Ashley's so good with math, you guys.
I just wanted to show off my.
She writes the grant proposals and all that.
There you go.
Do not cross her. She's got it all, every detail right there.
We don't want to brag, but I had done the math.
I've been at meetings with you. I know how it works. I know.
Ashley
She stands up and everyone's like, yes.
Ashley's the brains behind all of it. This would not be happening without Ashley.
I have a special guest star right here. Does anybody know Graham Ryan?
Ah!
It's Graham.
Hi, Graham.
Hi, friends.
He's a vampire.
Hold on.
We're Broadway royalty.
Yes.
We've been married for 15 years. Oh God, don't show the closet.
No, well, hey. I thought I'd sit down and say hello. And oh, wait, there's something in my back pocket. What is it? Oh, it's my Criterion copy of War of the Worlds.
Oh,
Random.
That's so
I
random.
don't know if anybody would be interested in
that's so odd.
War of the Worlds, radio drama that was later turned into movies. And
Well, that is so interesting you mentioned that, Graham, because we'll be in touch about that. But we are actually doing a benefit of War of the Worlds in actually, boy, about 25 days.
what?
What is that way?
What are the odds? What I love is that Kate had no idea what this was. Until the end. So
Not a clue.
Masterful segue.
Y'all just celebrated your anniversary, is that right?
That's
How many years?
15 years.
15 years.
No.
Yes.
Now, what shows have you all been in together?
Well,
I've seen one of them.
ago at this time.
Well, a little more than 15 years ago.
No, 15 years ago. at
Well, our
this
first
time.
show was more than 15 years ago.
Yeah, you don't know what I'm going to say.
I see. I know where you're going.
15 years ago at this time,
I was going chronologically.
we were doing White Christmas, Irving Berlin's White Christmas.
oh,
We ended up doing that 3 different Christmases together.
Yeah.
If you know the film, Graham played the Bing Crosby part, of course. I played the Rosemary Clooney part, and we did that in San Francisco and Detroit and Toronto.
Yeah.
The final year we did it was in Graham's hometown in Toronto.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a big treat to go back to my old stomping grounds and sort of live the dream of local boy makes good. That was the closest I was ever going to get. So I really enjoyed it. And some
It's such
buses.
a lovely holiday show. It's just, filled with songs that everybody knows. It's a lovely, they make it snow on stage. And
My family watches that movie every year.
Yeah.
it wasn't what I grew up with, but I love it now.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's crazy. It's also fascinating, the story of that movie, which was inspired by that song. And that song, which was, I think I don't know if it debuted in Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I think it did.
But
Yeah, I think that's right.
But the popularity of that song during wartime
Yeah.
inspired them to make a whole movie based on, or at least sparked by that song. And
Yeah.
and I think I don't know how many years it was between Holiday Inn and Bing coming back to do White Christmas, but I mean, he had a
Now,
lot.
I traveled to the regions to see a production of Bells Are Ringing starring the two of you.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we, for 3 summers, did shows at the Berkshire Theater Group. We did A Little Night Music playing Carl Magnus and Countess Charlotte together. That was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year we did Bells Are Ringing because I've always been fascinated by that wackadoo show. Oh, hi, Ken.
What, Ken?
Oh, no, that's
Wow, the comments take up like a fifth of the page. That's exciting.
We must be able to read.
I think it depends how close we are to the person commenting. If we're really close, it's like boom. You know,
We loved singing that score. We did a scaled down version of Bells Are Ringing. There were only like 10 actors in it, right? And Ethan Hawke directed it. And we were the only ones who played our roles only. Everybody else wore many different hats. Literally, they would put on a different hat, come on as a different person, and then go off. And it was I thought it was so inventive and so creative. And the set was really interesting too. And I thought I really love that show. I think it's wacky and fun, and a Valentine to New York City, and Compton and Green are so good. And that Julie Stein score was so great. Johnny, do you have good memories of it?
I have fantastic. It was a beautiful. You guys were beautiful. I do remember the one thing. There was like some line about like, wow, we really hope she'll get married one day. Like, poor thing. And I think I may have guffawed, saying like, Baldwin, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I think you can always tell when Johnny's in the audience, though. I think the laugh is pretty cool.
It's a great audience member.
Distinctive.
That was a beautiful production, and the you guys were great. And I do specifically remember the set was like gorgeous.
It was so cool. You can pull names out.
I know. I'm trying.
Of the wonderful designer who was amazing,
So
and what he was able to create on a shoestring. It looked like a Mondrian. How's that second name pronounced? A Mondrian a picture.
Yep.
That was our set, and every box had its own light bubble, so it was able to shift and the palettes, and it was all for, I think it was like a $10,000 set.
And it could look like the New York skyline.
Oh, neat.
It looked like a subway car. Panels could open up.
Oh yeah,
and you could
some
see
of
a
them
person's
were windows,
silhouette.
so you'd have a window open, and so you're like, "Hey, keep it down out there."
I love
And
it.
then here you all did a play, right? Is that right?
Yeah, then we did Constellations. We did that play by Nick Payne, and that was in the small space. And Greg Edelman directed that one, and had zero set and just light cues for a play that jumps around in time.
Zero set, one costume for each of us. No props. We just were on this disc in the darkness, and there was a little light strip behind us that stretched the width, and every now it would shift to a different hue to sort of indicate a shift in the scene, because it jumps around in time. But that was an amazing, I think that'll be one of my top 5 theater experiences. And not just with you, like of all of them, because it was so pure in terms of just two actors and the director and their skills.
Yes. And there was one night when we would love to do Kiss Me Kate together.
Yes.
Oh yes, of course.
I'm ready.
Of course.
Since I reached the charming age of puberty,
2021 Keen Company stage.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. Hey, audience, you curate Keen Seasons.
Yeah,
Come on.
can you
Let us have it.
planning for us?
I'm always fascinated though by the modern economies of theater, and what we accomplished with The Bells Are Ringing is taking these old classic musicals that are normally 30, 40 cast members, and how do you do it in today's day and age? And we managed, Ethan Hurd managed to figure out how to do it with 10.
And Parker Essie with all the dances
Sure.
too, like those Jerome Robbins dances, we're
Mhm.
choreographing them and just moving the bodies around and making sure the story was told and that our cast of characters all remained so distinct too.
And I think the trick is making the audience forget. Like typically I would go into a situation like that and go, wait a minute, how are they going to do this? I can come out going, oh, I totally forgot. There was, this was originally written with so many more bodies on stage.
Yeah.
If you can successfully make people not think about the fact that it was once 30 people, that is the gift and the art. And what a challenge. So do it, Johnny.
Hey, we do it with plays all the time.
Yeah.
That's my stock in trade.
We're going to do a 3-person Kiss Me Kate, but Johnny is going to play the 3rd person. So
Exactly.
I have some ways that
Great.
he might be interested in,
Great.
so I can lend those. I mean, oh, hi, Kate.
Baker's wife. All right.
Yeah,
Your dream
That'd be
casting.
great.
please. That one I'm dying to do.
Done.
I'm dying.
Done.
No, same. I mean, that's one of my top favorite musicals. That West Side Story, Sweeney Todd. I mean, But Into the Woods is right up there. I just love it. We did it in high school. The year before I was Ava Perón, I got to do Cinderella. In
What color beard did you wear on your head?
what beard did you? I was beardless. No beard.
Wow.
That's right. That's like what a range. Yeah.
What a range.
Yeah, I would
So-
love that.
Can you tell us for a moment maybe one of your first professional shows and what that was all about?
Sure. One of my first
I'm going to say goodbye because I got a little boy. Great to see my friends.
There's a boy out there.
Great to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Colin.
Nice plug.
Hi.
I didn't know he was going to do that.
It was a perfect segue.
Brilliant.
It worked really well.
One of my first professional experiences. Oh yeah, one of my first professional shows. My very first professional show was a show called Baby. Do you know the musical Maltby and Shire called Baby?
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing it at a local theater that was about 45 minutes north of the city of Chicago. And I was a senior at Northwestern, and I went and I auditioned for the role of Lizzie in Baby, and she sings "The Story Goes On." And my musical theater professor told me I probably wouldn't get it because I was too serious, and I was too. I don't know why, but he thought of me as like a deep actress, and I was just like. After doing 15 shows at Northwestern, all I really want to do is, I wanted to have fun. So I auditioned, and it was directed by Mark Hovey, who now is the producing artistic director of Paper Mill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
But he had come to the school back to Northwestern. He was a Northwestern alum and had taught us some Fosse choreography. I'm not a dancer, but I had taken his class and I had learned from him, and I thought he was terrific and charming and lovely. And I thought, I know The Story Goes On, and I love this show. And I went and I auditioned, and the producer said, "You're too tall. Will you please take off your shoes and sing the song again?" I did.
Sure.
Took off my shoes.
Sure.
Sang the song totally differently. And then put my shoes back on, and I was walking down the stairs to leave, and he ran after me, and he said, "Kate, has anyone ever told you you remind them of Sissy Spacek?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, you got the job. It's yours."
Wow.
And that was it. And then I was doing a Baby at Marriott Lincolnshire, and I was getting my equity card, and that's how it happened. And it was in the round too. I remember it was in the round. And so during the end of Story Goes On, they would start. There was a revolve, and it'd be like, "The story goes on and on."
Oh wow!
Oh God!
And a disco ball would come down, so it would look like I was in the universe. It was just like,
that's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it was so fun. But the night that my friend Dan Lipton came to see it, the revolve didn't work, so I had to revolve myself, like I just did. But you know me, I could roll with it.
Sure.
I did. So I revolved myself.
That's right. You were friends with Dan Lipton in college, right?
Same year, yeah. I was in Dan Lipton's senior musical. He was a composition major, and he just sent me the Dropbox of the recording of that musical that we did. He created a 4-person musical called Puck and Mary, and 3 of the characters were from Midsummer Night's Dream. It was Titania, Oberon, and Puck. And then we flash forward to World War II, and Puck meets a blind girl named Mary, and hilarity ensues. No. It's awesome.
All right. Well, we're still season planning 2021, so we'll see.
Coming to Keene next season. Yeah.
It was amazing. I loved listening to it. It was like a stroll down memory lane, and I still remember some of the melodies. Dan's such a good, talented writer, and he wrote the whole thing in verse. Who does that?
Wow.
And he wrote in verse.
That's
for
crazy.
the hearing characters. Like, unbelievable. I thought it was great. I loved it.
What a small world. And, you're working with all sorts of people that you went to college with still now.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I'm certainly making it seem like that. And I'll say one of the first ways I got involved with Keene, too, was not just because of Blake, but also my friend Brian Darcy James, who was good friends with Carl Forsman, and who did The Good Thief for Keene, and they lost somebody to sing at their gala, and Brian said, "Will you come and sing at the gala?" So even before I ever worked at Keene, I sang at the gala, and That was delightful. It was somewhere here in New Jersey. So it must have been, ages ago. It must have been 15 years ago. 15 years ago.
Yep. It was in Chatham, New Jersey, I bet.
That's right. That's right. And Brian and I sang songs. Yeah.
And I think there are people that came and saw John and Jen who were like, "Oh my God, we remember you for the benefit." I'm pretty sure one of those people was Kathy Engel. I'm almost positive.
She's listening now, so I hope she'll tell us.
I hope so too.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Here's a question from Tiffany about people you've worked with. You've worked with so many amazing people, but who's someone you haven't worked with yet, but have always wanted to?
Oh my God. Huh. Who haven't I worked with, but I would really like to?
You've worked with a pretty crazy roster of people, so
yeah.
It must be hard.
I've been really, really lucky. Really, really lucky to work with some fantastic people. And I was just, when the pandemic struck, we were in the midst of rehearsing Love Life at Encores, and I was getting to play opposite Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Oh.
Dream.
Have Brian Stokes Mitchell like this close to you, singing at your face, is just like, you don't know what to do with yourself. You can't. You're like, am I showing him? What is my face doing right now? You can't even process it because he's right there. Who would it be? Audra. I think Audra McDonald. What's the show that we could do together? I don't know what it would be.
Could we age one of you and do a musical version of Night Mother?
Is Ava one of them?
No, that sounds like a terrible idea.
A great wig. That's it. Okay, let me think about this. I gotta think about this.
We sort of worked around each other because there was a version of Passion that we filmed for PBS, live from Lincoln Center. Sondheim's Passion, and it starred Patty LuPone and Michael Cerveris, and Audra played Clara, and I was in the ensemble. And so I was sort of around, but I wouldn't say, the ensemble was doing ensemble things, and then the three principals were doing principal things. And yes, we were in the same room and stuff, but like.
Sweetheart.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So when I did, 12 years ago, I did a production of She Loves Me at the Huntington Theater in Boston, and also at Williamstown. And it was directed by the late, great Nikki Martin. And I played Amalia, and Brooks Eshmanskis played George.
Amazing.
And it was so funny. But during tech, we were lighting at one point, and we both just got bored. So we did a little priest from Sweeney Todd, except I played Sweeney and he played
the season brochure is just writing itself.
Yep, it's true. It's true.
It was something, let me tell you.
Wow.
That was a fun tech period.
Wow.
I imagine being in tech with Brooks would be a lot of fun. Unless you're the director, in which case probably you'd have to create order every once in a while.
I feel like you love playing past clown as the director.
That's true.
It was super fun. And what's good about Brooks is that he has like the same 4 or 5 jokes. But they're always funny, so you know that they're coming, and you see them coming, but they're always good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to take any questions from our mystery question?
Yes.
Bowl?
Yes.
We have a mystery question bowl.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
These are random. It's gonna be like a lightning round. Okay.
Oh my gosh, are they being timed?
No, you are being timed. But they're gonna be random questions. I'm gonna pick one. Ready? Oh, what was your favorite movie as a kid?
Ooh.
The Princess Bride.
Oh, great answer. Okay.
That makes sense.
What are foods that make you feel like you're home, or like you're like comfort foods?
Ooh, like spaghetti and meatballs, or mashed potatoes, or like a vinegar chicken kind of thing.
Oh.
Come on over. Tacos.
Tacos. It's a great taco night. Great taco night.
This is vital for our taco night. Cake or pie? Which do you prefer?
That's too hard. That's too hard.
It's
if
hard.
It's birthday, you got to have cake, and if it's summertime, you got to have pie.
Okay, this is gonna, our audience is gonna love me that I picked this one. Dream role. Do you have any left on your dream bucket list? I mean, we're already making our brochure, so.
Someday I would like to do Sunday in the Park. I mean, I always say that, but Sunday in the Park with George is like, for me, the be all end all. I mean, for me, that's the greatest thing ever. I love that show so much because it's about, creating art and how hard it is. And it has some of the most beautiful music ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say that, have I told you this story? I'm sure I've told you this story. So we were in tech for Dolly 2.0, and I was in my dressing room stalling before the show. And Bernadette Peters comes up to my dressing room to say hello to me and to say hello to Victor, who is down the hall. And she was in her full Dolly getup for the very first time. So it was her put in rehearsal with her costume. So she and Victor had to be in costumes. The rest of us were going to be in sweatpants because we had already done the show for 9 months or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at me and she says, "Aren't you going to get dressed?" And I said, "No." And I said, "I don't even really have to start getting ready until the overture because, she made me nervous because she's who she is." And I just started listing the songs in the show. You've got to do, I put my hand in, they got to do Call on Dolly, you got to do It Takes a Woman, and then you got to do Sunday in the Park with George. You got to do Put on Your Sunday Clothes. And I realized what had happened is she was standing there in a boater hat and a bustle, and there was a song called Sunday, and I went to Sunday in the Park with George.
Of course.
And she looked at me and she was like, "Okay." And she walked down the hallway to go see Victor, and I was like, "Oh no, I screwed it up. Oh no." Now she knows how much I love her.
I'd love you play that role. Have you done Sondheim before? You must have.
I've done a lot of Sondheim in concert.
Mm-hmm.
So in fact, I did all the music from Sunday with Jason Daniely. We did it with the Boston Symphony Orchestra a number of years ago. Heaven. That was heaven. And so a lot of in concert Sondheim stuff. But the only Sondheim show I've really done is night music. I've played Charlotte twice. And in high school, Into the Woods.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's still time for my Sweeney.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Kate, ragtime.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Man, this is great.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm done. I think I could probably take a year off now. I mean,
We've
I've got
got 2 seasons booked.
2 seasons done.
Keen belongs to the people. Here's another lightning round question for you, Kate.
Oh, Beatles or Stones?
Beatles. Yep. I think so.
I love that we can. I love that we can sort some of our questions.
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect.
Wait, I have another one. I'm scrolling up back to the beginning. 1 second. Here we go. So if Follies got revived now and you could have the role of your choice, would you say you'd be a Sally or a Phyllis?
What a good question. What a good question. I happen to think is one of the songs that are written. And if you think about it, there are so few other songs that are just like that one, that talk about that subject and that are just a big fat lie. That she's like, I'm happy, I'm dying. It's just, I remember seeing Follies when I was in high school because the community theater players did it, and my boyfriend at the time was running Spotlight, so I would watch it from the spots with him, and I was like, what are all these old people crying about? And why aren't the dance numbers longer? I just remember thinking that. And then Graham and I went to go see, it was like one of our first dates after our son was born. We were going to go see the revival of Follies. We went out for like a giant sushi dinner beforehand. We were like really living. We're paying for a sitter and we're going to go see Follies. And at intermission, I was like, oh, I know why the old people were crying now. I get it. I totally get it. Oh God, this hurts. Why are we here? This is a terrible idea. It was amazing. It was amazing. I will say too that I've done Leave You in concert a couple of times too. And with David Loud, who is an incredible music director, and with Paul Gimignani, who's also an incredible music director. So like, I feel like I've had some prep work done on Follies. I would do either one. Honestly, I feel like these days I'm more of a Phyllis than a Sally, but you know, either way, it just depends. They're both such good roles. God, I love them both.
Well, if we do a stripped down production, you could play both.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Exactly. So you just performed in a 2 nights ago, right? In New Jersey?
I did, yes. I called up my friend Bonnie Monty, who runs the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, and said, would your audiences enjoy an outdoor concert of, you know, like an hour of musical theater? And she said yes. And so we put it on sale and it sold out in 6 days. And so at the first concert we had 160 people. And so I said, let's try another one. And so we did a week later, we did the same thing, but it was about 15 degrees colder on October 2nd. And about 130 people showed up, and some of them had like down comforters on and like hats, and like, you know, they were like tailgating, like they had their wine and their cheese and their, you know, small fires. And Georgia Stitt and I did, you know, 75 minutes of music. I could see my breath the entire time while and it was so wonderful because just I miss live performance so much. And it seemed to me like the audience missed it too. And we were there. I could hear them laughing and I could hear them applauding, and they responded to me when I asked them questions. And it was such a beautiful, lovely time, and I'll never forget it. And they were truly special concerts. And I feel really lucky to have been able to do them.
I bet. I was up in Maine, and I saw a production of Taming of the Shrew. It was I think it was half community, half professional. And it was just so amazing to be able, and it was outside. It was so amazing to just sit and be able to actually see a performance. It was crazy. How, you know, I miss it so much.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. And we'll come back. We'll do it again. I know that we will. I know that we will. We must.
Of course we will. Of course we will. Of course we will. And you've been doing a lot of virtual performing too, I assume.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of places that I've worked for in the past have been doing virtual fundraisers and things like that. And I'm more than happy to contribute a song to the gala evenings and to actually sit there. And I've watched some galas from my, you know, computer. And I think maybe this is the wave of the future. Maybe people will prefer this kind of thing because in a certain sense, you can sort of get more up close and personal with this format than you can if everybody's, you know, in a space together, eating dinner and trying to manage all of the distractions. So I don't know. I'm just thrilled that places are continuing to raise money and support theaters because they're so important. I mean, we are compulsive storytellers. We just have to.
Well, you were amazing on our Keenathon. Now that was like, what was that? That was back in April.
It was, wasn't it? Oh my God.
But
I know we have some subscribers listening now, Charles and Alan and Kathy. So, you know, let us know. Virtual might be the wave of the future. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you hate. We're always listening. So, yeah. Awesome. It's been so lovely just to chat with you and see your face and hear your stories.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my absolute pleasure and my honor to be part of the King family. I take it. It means a lot to me.
Well, we love you, and I love you, and it's been a joy working with you, but just getting to know you over the last several years and to count you as a friend. You're amazing, Kate.
Mwah. Back at you. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Kate. Good night.
Amazing. Another lovely Monday evening with you guys.
Lovely. Lovely. No other way to spend a Monday night than with Keen Company and Kate Baldwin. Come on.
You know, this is Monday's usually the night that theaters start, but not here at Keen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Next week, we will be back. And again, it's our launch party. We will have the playwrights of the Here Now audio theater season. And following soon after that, we're going to be releasing our first audio play. So thank you so very much. I look forward to seeing y'all at the virtual theater soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.